च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. So today, as we know, we'll be recounting the events which happened on what is now called the Kalpataru Day. That is the 1st January, when Sri Ramakrishna was still in his mortal body, and all these events occurred in Kashipur Garden House, where he spent his last days, where he also attained Mahasamadhi. So we will just recount those incidents today, and of course have some songs which are related to that incident. So no philosophical interpretation or nothing, just simple recounting of the events, because maybe some of us don't know that event in detail. So we will discuss it as it has been mentioned in the most detailed life of the master by Swami Saradananda. That is the source. So we will just see what Saradananda himself says about what happened during that we can say fateful day or auspicious day, when so many devotees received the master's blessings. So before we start, Merita will sing a song, one or two, related to that. That song is, what is the title of that?
The Amazing Grace.
So Grace, yeah.
Amazing Grace.
That is our topic today, the amazing grace of God. So the song will be very suitable.
And also Ramakrishna song.
Yeah, so these two. So I request her to start, and then we will go to other things.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved someone like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to sing, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. 'Twas grace that brought me here this far, to freedom that will last. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved someone like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Was blind, but now Oh, precious Rama Krishna, I know you hear my prayer. You are the light within my heart, my very breath of air. You are the sweetest sound, the sweetest song of the universe. You are the simple way, the way of peace and blessedness, the way of peace and blessedness.
Thank you so much. That first song we can all learn.
Yes, yes.
Actually, I also don't know.
People
So
know it, I think.
I have to pick up because most of you I think know.
No, you.
Yes, I have to
Yes,
pick up.
yes. You can sing along.
Yeah. Now, let us go to Kashipur. So, Sardananji, here he has a special chapter on this incident, that the chapter is entitled "The Master Bestows Fearlessness Through Self-Revelation." Self-revelation means he lets everybody know who he really is. Reveals his real nature as a divine person. Now, before this chapter, Sardananji has already told the reader how shortly after arriving at Kashipur, the master one day left his room and walked in the garden briefly. There's a big garden there. I will show you the photographs later. So after he walked a little, then he began to feel very weak. He was so ill, you see. So he did not venture to go out again for more than 2 weeks. He was confined inside. He could not eat anything. Just that sagu or something, so much pain on eating. Yeah. Now, during that period, his doctor was changed, but before he was undergoing homeopathic treatment, that continued. So, Dr. Rajendra Lal Datta was fortunate enough to treat the master. I will show you his photograph. And he had a very nice background, this Dr. Rajendra Lal. He had been born into the famous and wealthy family of Akrur Datta of Calcutta. He had worked hard and spent much money for the study and propagation of homeopathy in the city. And the main doctor of Sri Ramakrishna, I think you know his name, Dr. Mahendranath Sarkar. So actually it was by associating with Rajendralal Datta that Mahendralal Sarkar had realized the success and usefulness of homeopathy. So he was influenced by this Rajendralal Datta and had started to practice that system of medicine. So thankfully we have the photographs of both these doctors. First I will show Rajendralal Datta. He is Rajendralal Datta. This is Dr. Mahendralal Datta. Mahendra Sarkar, sorry. Actually, he associated very closely with the master, and now a separate book has been published on his life. Yeah. So Dr. Rajendra learned of the master's illness by word of mouth. And he thought that if he could cure the master of this disease, the reputation of homeopathy would be established among many people. He was a doctor, you see, so he was very much devoted to homeopathy. So he thought that if a person like the master can be cured, then people would be benefited by knowing about homeopathy. So after much thought and study, he selected a specific medicine for the master's disease. He was acquainted with Atul. Atul means Girish Chandra Ghosh's brother. Girish Chandra Ghosh, you know. So far as we remember, Dr. Datta met Atul around this time and inquired about the master's illness. Then he expressed his desire to treat the master and said that, please tell Mahendra, Mahendra means Mahendra Lal Sarkar, please tell Mahendra that after careful consideration, I have selected a medicine and I expect a good result from it. If he agrees, I am willing to try it. If he agrees, because Mahendra Lal was treating the master, you see, so as a courtesy. So when Atul reported this to the devotees and Dr. Sarkar, no one objected. A few days later, Dr. Rajendra came to see the master, and after listening to the whole history of his disease, he prescribed one medicine. The name of the medicine is Lycopodium 200. So this produced good results in the master for more than a fortnight. After taking this for about 15 days, he was better. The devotees were very encouraged and they thought that the master might soon be free from the disease and hale and hearty again. Now, on 1st January 1886, the master felt so much better that he expressed a desire to walk in the garden for a short time. Now 1st January was a holiday then, and the householder devotees, they could come only on holidays mostly. So they began arriving at the garden house after midday to see the master. The master came down from upstairs at 3 p.m. There were more than 30 people talking among themselves inside the house and sitting under the trees in the garden. So when the master came out, they all stood up reverently and bowed down when they saw him. The master went out through the western door of the hall, descended onto the garden path and proceeded slowly southward to the gate. So actually those who have gone there know that the house, then the pathway is like this, then it comes like this to the gate. So the master walked along that path. The devotees followed him at a little distance. When he reached the midpoint of that path where it turns between the house and the gate, the master saw Girish, Ram, Atul and a few others under a tree on the west side of the path. They bowed down to him and came to him joyfully, because after so many days the master had come outside. They were very excited and encouraged. Now suddenly, without any obvious reason, when the master came to Girish, you see, two persons mainly, One was Ramchandra Datta. Actually, Ramchandra Datta wrote one of the first books on the master's teachings. Keshav Chandra Sen, Ramchandra Datta, and Girish. So these two persons were very enthusiastic in propagating the master as an incarnation of God. So the master sometimes did not like this also. So now, but he also said that Girish has more than 100% faith. So when Girish says this, it is just not out of emotion or something. He has actual faith, 100% belief. So now, suddenly, for no obvious reason, when master came to Girish and all were standing there, they stood up when the master came. So the master asked him, Girish, what have you seen and understood about this place? This place you never used to say I. So you used to say about this place like this. That makes you say all these things. All these things you got. That I am an incarnation of God and all that. So what have you seen that makes you say all that? So anybody else would have been a little perturbed. Master himself is asking what to say. What can be the answer? But Girish gave such an answer that only he could give. Because he was such a very exalted spiritual person. So, unperturbed, Girish knelt down at the master's feet, folded his hands before his raised face like this, and responded in a voice choked with emotion. It was all genuine, you see, his devotion was so much. So the reply he gave is simply, it's really, only Girish could reply like that. He said, what more can I say of him? Even the sages Vyasa and Valmiki could find no words to measure his glory. So what can I say about you? What can I say about God? Even great saints, Vyasadeva and Valmiki also, after describing everything, they say that no one can describe God. No one can have any idea of his unfathomable glories. Like there is a verse in Shiv Mahima Stotram you may be knowing, that even if the whole ocean is turned into an ink pot, and if maybe the whole earth is the writing paper, something like that he says, and if Mother Saraswati starts writing about the glories of God with that pot of ink which is the whole ocean, and Goddess of Learning also, if she starts writing, she cannot finish. So Girish expressed the same emotion. So he said that, what can I say about God, whose glories even sages like Vyasa and Valmiki could find no words to measure. Now when Girish said this out of genuine emotion, the master was also extremely, he also grew emotional to some extent, that because any genuine this type of thing also finds a response in God. So then he said, Girish's sincere faith expressed in those words so much moved the master that he said to the devotees, while looking at Girish, what more need I tell you? But what will I say? Your reply is really such that it has moved me. What can I say? But what need more I tell you? I bless you all. What blessing he gave? The highest blessing possible. May you all be spiritually illumined. So Bengali it is, তোমাদের চৈতন্য হোক, চেতনা Chetan means consciousness. Jada is inert thing. So, may you be spiritually conscious. That is, your spiritual real nature, may it be manifested. So, he became overwhelmed by love and compassion for his devotees and went into ecstasy after uttering those few words. So he became compassionate incarnate, so to say. So before going further, we'll just have a song on this theme. The very first line of the song is so much connected with this, that is Asima Tava Karuna. Asima means limitless. Karuna means compassion. So your compassion is limitless. Hey Ramakrishna, Leela Rose Mogno, you are always imbued, immersed in the divine Leela. Achetone Dao, Dao means to give. Acheton means those who are not spiritually awakened. Achetone Dao Chetona. So much related to this theme. Pandana.
ছুটে আসে চল
চায় না দিন বেশে দিন না দাও দর্শন সর্বজাতি সর্বধর্ম মাগে যে চরণ দিন বেশে দিন না দাও দর্শন সর্বজাতি সর্বধর্ম মাগে যে চরণ ফিরে গেছো নিজ ধামে মন মানে না তুমি ফিরে গেছো নিজ ধামে মন মানে না অসীম তব করুণা হে রাম কৃষ্ণ লীলা রসে মগ্ন হে রাম কৃষ্ণ লীলা রসে মগ্ন অচেতনে দাও চেতনা অসীম তব করুণা অসীম তব করুণা So let's see what happened after this. What more need I tell you, said the master. I bless you all. May you all be illumined. So the master became overwhelmed with love and compassion for his devotees and went into ecstasy after uttering those few words. Now, that profound blessing of the master, because this is, this transmits, our emotions also evoke similar emotions from people whom we meet. So, this profound blessing touched the devotees deep within their hearts. They also became very much moved and they became mad with joy. They forgot time and space. They forgot the master's illness. They forgot that they had vowed not to touch the master until his recovery. That rule had been made that nobody will touch the master because he could not stand even the touch of any person, and he may take the sins of that person. He himself said that his throat was, this illness was partly due to maybe taking on the sins of Girish. Yeah. So that was the rule they had made. But at this moment they forgot everything. All rules were simply wiped out. They just saw that a wondrous divine being had come down to them from heaven and was calling to them affectionately. They also felt that their suffering grieved him and that he was carrying in his heart an infinite pain and compassion for them and offering them shelter as selflessly as a loving mother. They became anxious to bow down to him and take the dust of his feet. Their cries of glory to Sri Ram Krishna, that is Jai as we say, that is glory to the master, resounded in all directions. As one by one they bowed down to him. Now, as they touched his feet, the ocean of the master's compassion burst all bounds, all limits it crossed, and created an astonishing phenomenon. What happened? Almost every day in Dakshineshwar, we had seen the master become overwhelmed with compassion and grace and bless some devotees with his powerful divine touch. And on this day, as he remained in a semi-ecstatic state, he also began to touch each devotee. Now, all those who bowed down to him, he began to touch. But this was no ordinary touch, as we will see. So he began to touch each devotee in a similar way, and their joy became still greater. Hmm. So all this happened at a particular place. Now, just for those who have not gone to Kashipur, I'll give an idea so that you know how the place looks like and where this happened. So this is Kashipur Garden House. You can see the top 3 windows there. That was the master's room. And below the big hall is there. There all his disciples stayed overnight to serve him and all. So this is from the side of the lake. Now the master had gone in another direction towards the gate. So where is that? This is the place. So the master had come from this gate where you can see the gate on the left side. That is the gate through which we enter nowadays. From there the master had come and began to walk towards this path. And actually from this path, if you turn right, you reach the main gate. So the master began to turn, and here where this tree is, and the original tree is not there, I think. So this tree where it is located, there this incident happened. Yeah. This is maybe replanted later. This is still there, of course. So this is where he touched each devotee, and already the devotees were so joyful. Now they became absolutely like mad persons because of that touch. They went into religious ecstasy and all that. So the devotees understood that from this day on, the master would no longer conceal his divinity from them or from anybody else in the world. That is why Sardhananji calls this the day of self-revelation. But it was an ominous sign also, because the master had told the day everybody comes to know, then know that I don't have many days longer to live. So anyway, the devotees had forgotten all that now. They had no doubt from that from now on, all sinners and sufferers, despite their shortcomings, lack of spirituality, and feelings of inadequacy, would find shelter at the Master's blessed feet. Seeing the Master in that unique and exalted state, some became speechless and could only watch him as if bewitched. Some called out loudly to everyone inside the house to come and be blessed by the Master's grace. They were experiencing so much joy, so they began to call out everybody, "Hey, where are you? Come." But it is interesting to note that none of the Master's monastic disciples were there at that time. Everybody was in the house. They were arranging things for the Master. The Master had gone out, so they thought, let us, his bed cover and all that, let us clean his room and all that. So some called out loudly to everyone inside the house to come and be blessed by the Master's grace. Others picked flowers from the garden and began to worship him, uttering mantras and showering him with the flowers. When the Master's ecstasy came to an end after some time, the devotees also calmed down. The Master finished his walk in the garden and then returned to the house and sat down in his room. Now, Sardhanandaji comments that Ramchandra Datta, he was a very prominent householder devotee of the Master, and some devotees have said that on that day the Master became the Kalpataru. Kalpataru is a mythical tree, so it is said that if you go beneath that tree and ask for anything, it is granted. So they said that on that day, the master began the Kalpataru because he granted everybody their desire. But Sardanandaji says, we think that it is more reasonable to describe this event as a manifestation of the master's fearless divine nature, or to say that he revealed himself on that day, granting fearlessness to all. Why Sardananji says, later he explains, why does he skip this interpretation? Because if you go under a Kalpataru tree, whatever you ask for will be granted, but that desire may not be good. So in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna it is there that one person was sitting and thinking, maybe under a Kalpataru tree, that what will happen if a tiger comes and eats me? What will happen if a tiger comes here at this moment? Sometimes all these thoughts come up in the mind. So as soon as he thought, since he was under that tree, the tiger appeared and gobbled him up.
Oh my goodness.
So if you call the master Kalpataru, this means what? Good or bad, whatever you ask of him will be granted. But that was not the case here, because he did not grant anything which was not beneficial. So actually that is why Sardanji says that the Kalpataru gives people whatever they ask for, good or bad. But we don't actually want anything bad. But the master did not do that. By this event, he let it be known clearly that he was divinity incarnate, and that he offered shelter from fear to all without any discrimination. Abhaya, that is called. So, this is what he says. So, after this, there is related the devotee of related the experiences of a few devotees, because afterwards they narrated what they had felt. So that is very interesting. We will read that. But before that, we will have again few songs on this theme. 2 songs. So one song you are all familiar with, and that book is, please give that, it is there in that song. In the book it is there. Arupa Shayore Lila, I think it is, just find the page, I think 36, 37 will be, I don't know. If anybody can find and tell the page, then others can find it easily. Arupa Shayore Lila Lahari. 36, no? The meaning is given in that book. So here, this is a wonderful description. I have sung this before also here. So this was written by one of our very great monks. And the interesting fact to note is that Mahapurush Maharaj, when he heard this song, he said that anybody who has not received the vision of the Master cannot write this song.
Arupa Shayore
last two lines are wonderful. तुम्हारी आशाएं कतो जुगोगतो, that now that I have received your grace, O God, all these hundreds and thousands of millions of births which I am suffering in doubt and all these desires, হয়েছে আজি তিরোহিত. তিরোহিত হনা means they've all finished. They've all gone. All our sufferings will be wiped out once or for all. Once we have that vision. So he says this thing only. That in your hope means in the hope of getting your vision, how many births I have spent. Now all my doubts have been dissolved. যে আছে আমার লহ উপহার, whatever belongs to me, please take this as a humble offering. Why? Because Shopinu Jivanu, I have now devoted my whole life to what? Tavo Shevai, in your service. Because I have known that there is nothing else worthwhile to devote my life to. So only if I devote my whole life to you in your service, then only my life will be fruitful. It has no other aim. So it is an absolutely wonderful song. So till now Sardananji has described that how the master touched everybody became engulfed in divine bliss. Then after this happened, what they had done is, maybe most probably after the master had passed away, because he may have done this, what he did was he interviewed those persons to tell me what you felt, so that we know what really. So now he narrates a few of those experiences. Haran Chandra Das, he was one devotee of the master, and after receiving the master's grace, every year he used to celebrate in his house this occasion to commemorate this day. So Sardananji says Haran Chandra Das is worthy of being mentioned amongst those who were blessed with the master's grace that day. So what happened? As soon as Haran bowed down to the master placed his foot on Haran's head. Seldom did the master bestow his grace in this way. This was very rare, even for the master. And Ramlal Chattopadhyaya, nephew of the master, was also present on that occasion and received his grace. So when asked about his experience, Ramlal said, "Before this, when I meditated, I could see only part of my chosen deity with my mind's eye. When I saw his feet, I couldn't see his face. And when I saw his form from his face, I couldn't see his feet. Moreover, whatever I saw never seemed to be alive. But no sooner had the master touched me that day than the whole form of my chosen deity appeared in my heart as a living presence, benign and effulgent." Then he mentions the names of some of those persons who were there. So earlier he has said that there were 30 persons in all, but many of them were the monastic disciples. So then he says that we remember the names of some persons that I will narrate. 9 or 10 devotees who were present on that day. First was of course Girish. Atul, his brother, was there. Ram is Ramchandra Datta. Navagopal Ghosh, he was a very great devotee of the master. Haramohan Mitra, I think. Yeah, his surname is Mitra. Vaikuntha, that is Vaikuntanath Sanyal. Kishori Roy, Haran Chandra Das, whom he has mentioned. Ramlal Master's nephew, and Akshay. Akshay, he passed away at a very young age. Mahendranath, the recorder of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, may also have been present. But amazingly, none of the masters would be monastic disciples who were there at that time. Because the night before, the reason is simple. They had already received everything. So, the night before, Narendra and some other disciples had been engaged in sadhana, in addition to serving the master. So they were all tired and were sleeping in their room. And Latu and Sharat means Sardananji himself, the author, they were awake and saw the whole affair from the roof south of the master's room. They saw everything happening, but did not feel any urge to go there. As soon as the master had left for his walk, they had taken the opportunity to clean the master's room and put his mattress and pillow on the roof to be sunned. Because they did not want to inconvenience the master by leaving the work unfinished, they felt no inclination to go there. So the simple reason was that they were already realized souls by the grace of the master. So one interesting incident about a particular devotee we will leave for the next time, because we have to have an Arati also. And I will just sing one more song, which this is one of the few songs, maybe the only song, which is especially for this day. I have already sent you the links, many of you have seen. This is also written by our Chobi Rai, whom we call Chobi Di.
কাশীপুরে উদ্যানে এক কল্পতরু আছে, যার মনে যা কামনা তা পূর্বে তারই কাছে, যার মনে যা কামনা তা পূর্বে তারই কাছে রে কল্পতরু আছে। কাশীপুরে উদ্যানে এক কল্পতরু আছে। তার ডালে ডালে ধরে আছে চৈতন্যেরই ফল, তার ডালে ডালে ধরে আছে চৈতন্যেরই ফল। আয় ছুটে আয় কে নিবি আয়, আয় রে ভক্ত দল। তার ডালে ডালে ধরে আছে চৈতন্যেরই ফল। আয় ছুটে আয় কে নিবি আয়, আয় রে ভক্ত দল। বিলায় প্রভু অকাতরে নাই যদি কেউ যাচে, বিলায় প্রভু অকাতরে নাই যদি কেউ যাচে রে কল্পতরু আছে। কাশীপুরে উদ্যানে এক কল্পতরু আছে। এক দেহেতে রাম আর কৃষ্ণ যেখানেতে রয়, কি ঐশ্বর্য রয় যে সেথা বলা নাহি যায়। এক দেহেতে রাম আর কৃষ্ণ যেখানেতে রয়, কি ঐশ্বর্য রয় যে সেথা বলা নাহি যায়। সেদিন ছিল আগের মতন বড়ই শুভাঙ্কর, প্রভু হলেন কল্পতরু উদ্যান ভিতর। চৈতন্যেরই ফল খেয়ে সব হাসে কাঁদে নাচে চৈতন্যেরই ফল খেয়ে সব হাসে কাঁদে নাচে রে কল্পতরু আছে কাশীপুরে উদ্যানে এক কল্পতরু আছে যার মনে যা কামনা তা পূর্বে তারই কাছে যার মনে যা কামনা তা পূর্বে তারই কাছে রে কল্পতরু আছে কাশীপুরে উদ্যানে এক কল্পতরু আছে কাশীপুরে উদ্যানে এক কল্পতরু আছে। So this concludes our short discussion. In the coming years, we can maybe go into greater detail. Many persons have written many things. So many interpretations are there. Interesting. Later we can see that. So now we will just have a short arati with Khandana.